Hey guys, so sorry. Last night I did my review for episode 4, A New Hope. So now I'll be talking about Star Wars episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, which is my personal favorite of the original trilogy. So uh, this came out 3 years after the original Star Wars, and a lot of people think it's a lot better than the original, and honestly, I think it's a lot better than the original because it's so great in so many ways because it introduces new characters like Boba Fett, Yoda, Lando Calrissian. It's a great movie. so so the movie begins on the snow planet, also known as Hoth. So Luke gets attacked by this. I always called it the abominable snowman when I was a kid. I forgot what the creature was called, but he gets taken to that creature's cave, and but he somehow he escapes. Always gotta come up with a master plan to escape. But he uses the Force to get his lightsaber, escape, then cut off that thing's arm, and it was pretty awesome. And then he passes out because of the cold, and then he has then Obi-Wan's ghost appears and he tells him to go to the Dagobah system to learn the ways of the Force from Yoda. And Yoda in this movie, oh my god, I can't even begin to tell you how much I loved Yoda in the movie, but I'll get to that later. And once Han finds Luke, his uh, those horse-looking things die because of the cold, and he cuts it open with Luke's lightsaber and keeps him warm by using his guts like a blanket. He's like, "It may smell bad, kid, but it'll keep you warm until I get the shelter up." And the thing's guts, they look like tater tots. I thought they smelled bad on the outside. So after they're rescued, then we get that one scene with them all together, especially with Leia. And Han gives one of my favorite lines in the movie: "Laugh it up, fuzzball." You stuck up half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder. Ooh, scruffy-looking. I tell you, that scene's amazing. And also, let's not forget about the next part when Leia and Luke kiss. That was pretty good. They might have something going on until Return of the Jedi, at least. Sorry, guys. My throat. Well, anyway, so we in this movie we get the Imperial March, and God, I love John Williams' score in this movie. The entire franchise, John Williams' score is so amazing. I love it. I mean, I even love the Imperial March. It's so catchy. Do 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 do. I never get enough of that. And and I love Darth Vader in this movie because I mean he ain't like he's much more than the bad guy that we were introduced in the first Star Wars. And one of the few reasons he's so likable and mostly feared, mostly because the minute if even one of his men fails or screws up even the slightest tiny bit, he will kill you. I mean, they even have this one look. They were like, "I'm about to die. Oh my god, I failed. There's no doubt about it. I'm screwed. I'm dead." Because you got that sense of fear when you see that look on their face. Yeah, you have failed me for the last time, Admiral, because when he sits in his chair or whatever, and the screen pops up, and that one guy appears on screen, and he's like, Lord Vader, and Vader starts force choking him through the screen. He's like, you have failed me for the last time. It was pretty cool how he could like do the force choke through a screen. And I also like the battle on Hoth where there's the AT-ATs, the walker things, and they get one by using tow cables to like trip it, and then they blow them up. So after all that, most of them escape. I mean, most of the rebels escape. Uh, Han, Leia, Chewie, and C-3PO leave on the Falcon, and while Luke leaves to go to the Dagobah system. So when they get to Dagobah, it's like a swamp planet, and at first it was nothing like that I was expecting when I first watched this movie. I mean, what kind of Jedi Master would live there? I mean, that's what I always thought every time. Once I first watched this movie, and and right before they got to Dagobah, we get the asteroid field scene, and the score in that scene is great. Sorry, guys. So after all that, we finally get introduced to Yoda. Okay, found someone you have, I would say. Hope you I can, yes. Oh, God, I mean, Yoda has always been one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever since I was a kid. And I even liked him in the prequels. Then in episodes 2 and 3, he was CGI. But only in episode 1, he was a puppet. But when they remastered it, when they remastered episode 1, he was CGI. But I don't know which I like better, the puppet version or CGI. But either way, still love it. I mean, I still love Yoda. Because, I mean, he's so likable. I cannot teach him. The boy has no patience. He will learn patience. I mean, that scene was so good. I mean, it's so great. And then, while all that's happening, we get this one scene of Vader having one conversation with the Emperor. Even though he doesn't physically appear in the movie, he appears in a hologram. I mean, because the Emperor is the one who holds Vader on his leash. Because, I mean, even though Vader is viewed as the big bad at first, the Emperor is actually the big bad of the franchise. I mean, of the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. So, yeah. I'm so sorry, guys. So, yeah, as Yoda trains Luke, he goes into that cave and fights what appears to be Darth Vader. Once he decapitates him, that one scene was like, whoa. And once he decapitates Vader, the mask just explodes and it shows Luke's head. And at first I was like, what does that even mean? But I bet a lot of people was probably wondering what that was. But and I like this the other scene when Luke tries to like use the Force to lift up his X-wing, but he couldn't. And even when Yoda says, "Cannot do," or do not. There is no try. And when Luke couldn't do it, Yoda uses the Force to like let the X-wing out of the water and just landed it right in front of Luke. And Luke was like, "I don't believe it." And Luke was like, "And that is why you fail." God, I mean, I swear I love Yoda. He's so awesome. And then I almost forgot to mention the one scene in the asteroid field where Han, Leia, and Chewie and C-3PO they're in the Falcon trying to fix it while they're in this. Well, they're actually inside the stomach of this one creature, and so when they leave, Leia was like, "The cave is collapsing," and Han's like, "This is no cave." And I like the one scene where they finally show Boba Fett, and Vader's like, "I want them alive. No disintegrations." And Boba Fett's like, "As you wish." And speaking of Boba Fett, well, speaking of Star Wars stuff, at least, I recently downloaded Star Wars Bounty Hunter, and it's absolutely great. I played it. This is the first time I played it, and like, I don't know. I first played it when I was like 7 or 8. I rented it on Blockbuster, and now I got it for the PS4, and it's kind of like a new experience because I only played it once, but I never got a chance to beat it because I was stuck on one part, but I'm still playing it. So yeah. Anyway, back to the review. Um, so I'm just gonna get to the part where they head to Bespin, to Cloud City, to get to Lando, and while at the same time, while Luke is training, with Yoda. So Luke is like having visions of Han and Leia being in pain, and Yoda's like, "You must not go." And despite all of that, Luke just leaves anyway. And I like the dialogue in that one scene, and especially after Luke leaves, Yoda's like, "Told you I did. Reckless is he. Now matters are worse." And Obi-Wan says, "That boy is our last hope." And Yoda says, "No, there is another." And that kind of like builds up to, it makes us wonder, what does that even mean? So we never know until like Return of the Jedi, because they always build up certain stuff that will come later, and it just gets us so excited for what's to come, and I kind of like that. So anyway, so they get to Bespin and they meet Lando, but it turns out the Empire got there first before they did. And we get that one scene where Han gets frozen in carbonite, and it's kind of sad in a way because, especially when Han kisses Leia and she says, "I love you," and he says, "I know." And when he gets frozen in carbonite, it's like, wow. But, well, yeah. So anyway, so after that, Lando helps Leia and Chewie escape. C-3PO was blasted apart, but what was so hilarious was Chewie put his head on backwards. And 3PO was like, "Oh my, what have you done? I'm backwards." uh, and of course, let's get to possibly my most favorite part of the movie, the lightsaber duel between Luke and Vader. And it ends so, I just can't even describe how great it is, because it ends with Vader cutting off Luke's hand, and he gives one of the best lines in cinema history. And when Vader says, "Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. He told me enough. He told me you killed him. No, I am your father." And I bet a lot of people back in 1980 were like, "What?" And that was probably like jaw dropping. That's what I call a jaw dropping moment, because it's one of the best scenes in cinema history. Not, I mean, for my opinion, this is one of the greatest movies of all time. And so Luke like falls down to this pit and he's trapped, and he calls to Leia by using the Force. So they go there, they rescue him, and then R2 managed to like fix the hyperdrive on the Millennium Falcon, and then they're out of there. And there was one thing about Empire that bugged me a little bit. It was like Lando is wearing Lando is wearing Han's clothes in that one scene. It's weird. Why would he be wearing Han's clothes? It's just, I don't know. So Luke gets a new prosthetic hand, and the scene ends with great John Williams score, and the end. I absolutely love Empire Strikes Back, and it absolutely gets an A plus. So tomorrow I'll be doing a review for Return of the Jedi, and I absolutely can't wait for that. And I'll probably see what I can do for more reviews. Before I was also planning on doing a review for Jessica Jones season one, uh, sometime before season two premieres on Netflix. So yeah. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this. If you have any more requests for me, I will definitely do a review for whatever you request. So, good night, guys.